So yeah, I more or less started this series back in like May. Like towards the middle or end of May. I originally got this idea, if you've seen episode 1's intro, or well, episode 1 in general, you'd see that I got this idea mostly off of Nagito VRC. So yeah, shout out to him for the idea. So yeah, and overall, the video did fine. I mean, he's like, hey, you want to see this happening more? In fact, even Sparrow posted it. In fact, literally Sparrow, supporter, a friend of mine, well, I would say Discord friend, but honestly, I don't know what to say about that part. So, yeah, she posted it to her TikTok, or him, honestly, I don't even know. I'm just gonna say her just for, well, the ease of it. She posted it on her TikTok, and that blew up. And so my RWBY Abridged series was on the rise. I'm not trying to skim past all the important details. I'm just like trying to make sure this video is not like an hour long. So, yeah, eventually got more people. Yeah, in the beginning it was just me, but then Sparrow joined on just mainly for the fact that Sparrow was actually kind of interested in this. I can't even speak. Sparrow was actually interested in this idea. So yeah, then also we got Mega X, Chasey Boyo, and also Seer Druid. Also another person that we like to call Skin Eater, or his actual name. Not saying because I'd rather not want him pissed off at me. And trust me, he kind of is. I don't know if he... So, yeah, I'm not going to go into that entire thing yet. So, yeah, eventually, and in a very weird VC, one time, we managed to also recruit Silent Wisteria. So, yeah, it was kind of weird on how that entire situation went, because I originally I was like, oh no, besides, I honestly didn't want her to join. Not trying to say that I didn't want her to join just for like reasons and stuff. But it's just like, she was already so busy on other projects that honestly it would kind of feel weird for her to join another, because like she was busy IRL. She had many voiceover projects. So honestly, it just felt weird to like ask her help. But in my surprise, she actually joined on. So yeah, eventually the first trailer dropped. And more trailers soon afterwards. And also, the original Red trailer also dropped. Which, honestly, was probably, now looking back on it, not some of my finest work. Honestly, I'd say that, like, out of every single trailer I worked on, I'd say that's probably one of the worst ones. So, yeah. Yeah, everything was going fine. We gathered more people. So yeah, we managed to get Torchwick. A person that commented on the Red trailer actually managed to join us, being named HG Mercury, which, please don't go after these people. I don't want to cause a massive, I don't want to cause a lot of drama. I don't want any of this to spew into, massive drama. I'm just explaining what happened and how I think, from my perspective, it's okay to actually, seriously, if anyone from the original cast is watching and seeing this from, probably say something from your perspective, and try to be civil about it in the comments. Trust me, what I'm about to go into will be most likely very serious. So, yeah. Everything was going fine for the most part. There was some disputes, but overall nothing too bad. It was just overall just little giggles and stuff. And then, so yeah, until July hit, where we managed to hit a few hurdles. It was just more or less. So yeah, RTX happened. I made a video about that. And also, I was also going on a trip to Wisconsin, so I was going to be away. And so, yeah. Then also I moved up RWBY Abridged episode 1's release date up a month, so it was going to be releasing in August. Don't know when in August at that time, so yeah. So yeah, everything was going fine. Also, but before that, oh boy, this is not going. So yeah, one massive hurdle that came before that was trying to get VAs for both Blake and Pura. Pura, although coming later, we managed to get one eventually without any issue. Blake, on the other hand, is one hit to my mental state at the time. At that time, I can't speak, apparently. So yeah, being that Zero Drew actually recommended me the idea of getting the original Blake VA from RWBY VR. Or at the time, Visual Outcast Studios, which, at the time, I knew something between another cast member of mine. Also at that time, I forgot to mention, being that Zippy joined because Sarah actually managed to get them to join. So, I was also happy about that, but when Sarah recommended me the idea, I knew about something that happened between the director of Visual Outcast Studios, Yang VA, aka Zippy, and Blake VA, which I'm not going to explain their name. Trust me, I'm not. And trust me, the one that we got was different from the original. So yeah, spoiler about that one. So, what actually happened being that I was very hesitant on that. At first glance, it seemed like a good idea, if I didn't knew about something like a big drama happening before then, I would have said that was a perfect idea. But since I knew, I was very hesitant to the point I actually had a mental breakdown. So yeah, over the next few days, I was more or less just very low mood and kind of overall just felt depressed. And yeah, no, I'd rather not go into that. So yeah, Mega actually noticed on what was wrong with me and actually decided to talk to me in DMs and overall just try to cheer me up. It kind of worked. So yeah, being that I got interrupted, so yeah, continuing forward. So yeah, Mega managed to cheer me up, which actually worked a little, and it's just like over, I think probably another day or two of me being low mood and depressed. So it's like, you know what? Screw it. We're just gonna talk to the original Blake VA, and just go with it. So yeah, we managed to talk, and being that they couldn't work with Zippy, mainly for reasons that I will never disclose, because I'd rather not to. Also, I feel like someone would be mad at me if I did. And trust me, I'm not trying to go into all of that. So, continue forward. So yeah, and then also, I think probably on the week of the actual, the week of the trip to Wisconsin I was going on, I think probably the day before that, I just I was so busy IRL, I kind of was just somewhat overworked. Literally to the point on the final day, the day before the trip, I quite literally had another mental breakdown, and I never, despite, literally I decided to join a VC in the old RWBY Abridged server, which we'll talk about why I call it the old RWBY Abridged server on my RWBY Abridged series, so we'll get to that in a bit. So yeah, they managed to cheer people that were in it, which weren't alive, managed to cheer me up despite them not knowing about what happened before, even though I was planning on telling them. It's just you know what? No, I'd rather just not. So yeah. Also, everything was going fine until towards August. Where, yeah, I think it was either before or after the trip to Wisconsin, our Cardin VA left because of some disputes between me and him. All because of a joke that kind of went a little too far, which I can understand why, because, yeah, excuse me. So, yeah, yeah, my God, what am I gonna say next? So, our Cardinal VA left after, I know some disputes and a joke going too far, so, yeah. Overall, and then with the release date of, also before the trip, also, I think, like, while I was on the road, then also the final trailer release and the black trailer release. But, what? Well, it was like, wait a minute, when did you get your Blake VA for the do black trailer? Well, we managed to get RWBY along for the ride, who, I kid you not, dangerously sounds like Blake. So she dangerously sounds like Blake. So yeah, it was kind of surprising about that one. So yeah, we released Black Trailer, which is edging out or probably tied with episode 1 in terms of popularity. So yeah, moving forward, I had the option of going with my parents to Chicago, which I reluctantly said yes, so I had to go on another trip to Chicago, and throughout the time of me trying to edit episode 1, and before that trip to Chicago, I also had another person join along, and that being the voice for both Glinda and Penny, being Char X, the Koopa King, or just Char, as I like to call Char. So yeah, I don't know why I said that, like, oh my god. Trust me, I'm not planning on continuing forward. As you can tell, this is definitely not scripted. So yeah, moving on. So yeah, I managed to get Char X after saying like, oh hey, we should collab together, which, would most certainly come back to bite me in the ass. As months late, like a month or 2, maybe 3 later. Actually, it was like a month or 2 later. So yeah, it most certainly came back to bite me. So yeah, episode 1 came out with a mixed reception from the cast members, but it was overall had some really good reception from everyone else. So yeah, and also at the time, the RWBY VR server, it got deleted, and when it came in September, September, everything fell apart. But before we get to that, I also like to mention the Chicago trip that I mentioned. So yeah, it was just me, my dad, and my stepmother, since my sister couldn't go since she had work and couldn't exactly get out of it. So yeah, the trip was overall fine. It was just important business that my dad had to take care of, which I'm not going to go into since that's personal matters, and I'm not going to go into that. So yeah, the trip was overall fine. It was the first day. Literally, it was when we got to our hotel and late at night. And also, at the time, I also auditioned to be in Nagito's RWBY Abridged series, and that most certainly came back to bite me. Being that, then also, throughout the time, we also got Time. I'm not going, that I like to call him, and we managed to recruit him. Well, he came to me, being that he wanted to be, of course, being Crow, Bronwyn, and James Ironwood, which, trust me, his Crow voice is quite literally close to the actual voice for Crow, which, I kid you not, was actually pretty incredible. But that didn't come with consequences, which we will get into later. So yeah, I auditioned to Nagito's RWBY Abridged series, which I got my response on that day. And this, I didn't get in. And that quite literally broke me. Like, I was literally having a mental breakdown that night, and I didn't want anyone to know, and my parents were right next to me. So I actually had to be silent about that, like, no joke. I tried to calm myself down. I didn't get that much sleep that night. I was somewhat low mood, but overall feeling fine the next day. I managed to talk to Sparrow about it just to get over it, which I eventually did. And yeah. Yeah, no, also trust me, this, as I keep on mentioning myself, and this is the second time I mentioned, this video is most certainly not scripted. Because I kid you not, this probably is like, I bet this is going to be like half an hour long. And I need to put something in here to cover that time. Oh my god, what the fuck am I doing? So yeah, it wasn't Nagito that told me. In fact, it was Time that told me. Which would eventually spark, well, more or less a rift between me and Time, which eventually will not grow into something good. Like, trust me, I'm not hating against him. Trust me, he's a really cool and good person. But in terms of, like, voice acting, trust me, I honestly just don't want to do anything with him. So, yeah. Continuing forward. So, yeah. And also, at the hotel, I possibly had some of the worst waffles in my life. What? I probably had some of the worst waffles in my life there. Like, some of the worst toasted waffles I've ever had. Quite literally, my stomach did not feel fine. After that, I didn't feel the effects until hours later, on the road again. And, yeah, no. So, yeah. Honestly, the rest of August was just decent. It didn't come without, like, any, like, warrant, and honestly, and this was kind of the shift of my mental state from going from, well, overall very positive and good to a more or less downhill spiral. So yeah, in September, was most certainly the final nail in the coffin for that. I held an event called, I'm not gonna even look at this video afterwards, so let's just continue forward. Yeah, being that I dubbed it the RWBY VR, the old RWBY VR funeral. Well, old I meant by, like, the old RWBY VR server. Like, I'm not trying to say, oh hey, it's just like old, like, yeah, it's confusing. So yeah, I held the event, which was also going to be a Q&A. Being like, hey, you want to talk about, like, how it was on the old RWBY VR Discord server versus the new one that is currently up, which I'll also leave a link to in the description below. So yeah. And also, so yeah, literally it's just like, yeah, no, that event was confusing. Our original Yang VA left without even saying a word. And so everyone was confused about that one. So yeah, then also Char, who was doing the voice for Glinda and Penny, also decided to be a backup voice for all of Team RWBY, which, Jesus Christ, that is an incredible amount of range. I honestly am actually kind of baffled about that one. But moving back on topic, so yeah, I decided. And also at the time, I was also kind of just being messed with. And one thing I will say, I tend to take stuff a little more personally and a little more seriously. Which might sound like a minor deal, but trust me, this will have consequences later on. So yeah, I was actually shuffled around during that event, from VC to VC, which actually kind of pissed me off. And also so yeah, I kind of just blamed Time. In fact, also at the time, I actually kind of threatened Time. Being that I was most likely going to kick him from the series, being like, I just almost had enough of his bullshit. So yeah, I actually tried to kick him, and that didn't work, mainly for the fact that he created the RWBY Abridged server, created my RWBY Abridged series server, so I couldn't exactly do that. It's like, at that time, I kind of just felt like I was powerless. So yeah, and also throughout the event, before I decided to end the event, I also decided to shadow drop the teaser for White Trailer. Since the event was going so poorly, I decided to, like, you know what? No premiere. We're just gonna freaking drop the White Trailer without saying anything. And yeah, no, we're just gonna drop the White Trailer without saying anything, because I just don't want anyone having, like, more negative reactions. This might sound shady, but it's just like, yeah, no, I was already not doing so mentally well, so it's just like I didn't need more negative reactions to me that night. So yeah, I quickly do the event, and after I said, I was just like, you know what, I'm just gonna end the event and just cry myself to sleep. Which then I eventually did minutes later. Which I eventually did seconds later after ending the event, after basically just hopping off of VC. Then ending the event, and then just crying myself to sleep. Trust me, I did not get much sleep that night as well. So yeah, and then days later, I dropped White Trailer. So yeah, which received mixed reception from cast members, and but overall, it was just going pretty much downhill from here. So yeah, and then Yellow Trailer, which I teased back in White Trailer. At the end of it, and this was kind of the massive turning point, because I actually requested Mega in order to do Yellow Trailer when he can. So yeah, once Yellow Trailer was done, everything fell apart. So yeah, literally the cast members started leaving left and right after, well, me and Time going at it again. Not like full-blown arguing, but it's just like it resulted into that. Like, one thing I will most certainly say, and I most certainly believe this, I mean that for some reason, Yang just has the most problems. Like, Yang kind of just has the most problems for no reason. I kind of actually believe this, being that literally whenever people get to Yang, if anything they're doing like RWBY project related, Yang usually has the most issues for no reason, and I actually kind of believe this because of, well, what happened. So yeah, everything just fell apart. Like, the cast members started fighting amongst themselves, including me. Like, at that point, I just felt like a mental punching bag to everyone, for the most part. Yeah, trust me, that did not end well. Like, literally, it's just like they were just full blown, like just straight up mad at me. And then the 10s, I was trying to monitor the situation, but then I forgot, being that, oh hey, I also had to go to church with my family, so I had to, which means I couldn't do anything regarding the situation with the RWBY Abridged server. And then the last message that I looked before the session started, being that you failed so in the most spectacular way. And that message was from Time. I couldn't defend myself. You know, like, yes, I screwed up, but trust me, I did it with reasons. And I couldn't explain those reasons, because I think either after the session, I checked to see if the server was still intact. And guess what? It was not. And then minutes later, once I got back home, the server was deleted. I felt so unbelievably mad and just overall just not doing mentally well. Like, I was just so unbelievably mad. And then possibly when I got back to school the next day, soon enough, yeah, no, this situation regarded to another server, being Sparrow server, which I had been a part of for quite a bit. So I most certainly built up a reputation there, a pretty good one at that, and RWBY Abridged kind of more or less destroyed it. Because one of the mods wanted me to apologize for all of the mistakes that I made. And honestly, it kind of just felt weird, just mainly for the fact that it's just like, most likely I was going to have to apologize for my mistakes at some point, but for someone, literally someone making me apologize, even though they're not even in the series, hell, they're not even concerned about it, it kind of just feels weird. It honestly just didn't feel right, but I still did it. I apologized for all my mistakes, and literally, just like, yes, I screwed up. I know I did very horrible. I basically screwed up in the most spectacular way possible. Like, I full on admitted my mistakes, and honestly, after that, I mostly stayed silent. Like, I personally just stayed silent afterwards. Like, it's just like, how would it say? Like, I just wanted to not be a part of that server. Although I still wanted to be in it, just lurking around. I just wanted to, just watch from the sidelines. Just not really concerned about anything, and I just wanted to watch just to see how it goes. Until weeks later, that entire thing just kind of felt like a lie. Because I find out I was not in Sparrow's server anymore, which, unironically, just made me feel like, I would say, like, I had many emotions. Like anger, I was also depressed, lonely, but also more or less betrayed at Sparrow. Just like, why? Like, you were literally like the one person that actually supported me and supported my idea of my RWBY Abridged series, and that's kind of the reason why I kept going. And now I more or less feel alone. Yeah, although I wasn't giving up on the idea. So yeah, I think it was like before or after. So yeah, one person managed to find out about the server's deletion. Char asked me what happened, and I honestly did not feel like explaining it. The Char just made it for the fact that it was already so mentally grueling on me, and it's just like, no, I didn't want to talk about it. So yeah, I kind of just, limped through the months. I kind of just more or less limped through the months. Lived through the rest of September and into October, which eventually, every single mistake that I've made up to that point decided to come back to haunt me. Because I think possibly like mid-October, I find out that Time is the co-owner of a RWBY Abridged series, which kind of got me both confused, but also pissed. But I honestly didn't care. Until one day I was in VC with Sparrow after they had a watch party to see the RWBY X Justice League crossover, the RWBY Justice League crossover movie, the second part to it, where I ironically just felt very sad, just mainly for the fact that me and Sparrow, like, I felt like I had mixed feelings with Sparrow at the time. And honestly, I just, like, why? Like, why do I even do this? Why do I even care about my RWBY Abridged series anymore? So yeah, we managed to talk, and seeing that Sparrow was actually kind of the one who, like, I'm actually surprised that Frame didn't want to audition for this RWBY Abridged series. It's just like, that's kind of off. So I more or less came into the server expecting the unexpected, but I did not expect this. In that time, was the co-owner of Char's RWBY Abridged series. I felt, I kid you not, so mad. Like, so mad, depressed, anger, lonely. I had a lot of emotions, but more or less, the biggest emotion of them all was betrayed. And technically, Char at that point, I don't think she ever knew about those events. So yeah, I eventually decided to audition for Adam, and guess what? Time didn't let me in because of my past mistakes, accidentally stealing a joke from Naruto's Abridged series, RWBY Abridged series, which got me so unreasonably mad, I actually wanted to punch the wall. So hard, I literally wanted my hand to break. Like, I was so unbelievably mad. And, so yeah, and then all of those events decided to catch up to me, and honestly, my mental state hasn't really recovered ever since. So yeah, it more or less felt like I was on my own, mainly for the fact that it included members that I was eventually going to recruit on. Mainly, so yeah, I'm not going to even explain those two, honestly. I'm not going to even try and explain those two. More or less, it just felt like, how would I say this? So yeah, I felt very betrayed. Yeah, me and Char talked about that. It's just like, oh, yeah, no, you can't be in a RWBY. I don't want to cause you mental distress. So yeah, I agreed. That would be the best course of action. And so yeah, in fact, Char actually managed to gather some of the original cast members, including some new ones. It's just like, I just felt lost after that entire mess. Yeah, and then as October passed by, my mental state just kind of more or less, well, it kind of just took a nosedive, and it continues to do so even to this day, even when I'm making this video right now. So yeah, even when I'm making this video right now. So yeah, no, it still affects me. So yeah, honestly, thank you for everyone that actually decided to put up with my bullcrap and watch this video to the entirety of the end. Honestly, it was really hard to make this video in the first place. I bet it's gonna be like half an hour long to almost an hour long, possibly. Yeah, no, it's possibly like it's almost probably half an hour long. So yeah, thank you for everyone watching this video, but I would like to say one thing to this one person. So yeah, one thing I will want to say at the time, if you're watching this, there's one thing I gotta say to you. You basically made my mental state basically fucking took a nosedive off a cliff, so I would like to say one thing. Fuck you.